The most horrifying Halloween deaths ever.
The Hershey's incident. On a Halloween night in 2011, a small home on Winchester Avenue in Chicago quickly became the scene of a nightmare. After trick-or-treating, a grown 55-year-old man fell into a fury with his partner after discovering that his bag of Hershey's candy was missing.
At your grown age, here I was thinking that it was gonna be some kid that's throwing a temper tantrum. You are 55, knowing you probably have money to go ahead and buy yourself some Hershey's. And if it mattered that much to you, you probably could have just went to other houses and actually just asked if they had Hershey's. You're mad over chocolate at your big age? Come on, bro, this is a kid's holiday.
He was convinced that the 49-year-old woman had taken it, and what started as a petty accusation quickly escalated into a heated argument.
Over chocolate, bro. Over chocolate. No. Those had to be like some edible Hershey's, bro. You cannot tell me that's some regular chocolate. There had to be something laced in that chocolate for him to really want it. I don't know, bro.
Grew louder and tempers boiled over. In desperation, and perhaps in an effort to also protect herself, the 49-year-old woman hurled a plate at the man's head, striking him in the face and cutting above his eye. The injury, later visible in the mugshot taken of him, only stoked his anger further. With blood dripping down his face, the man reached for a kitchen knife. And consumed by rage, he lashed out in a frenzy, striking the woman multiple times.
Over some chocolate, bro. No, this had to be chocolate and some Hennessy. This had to be some other induced things, because you cannot tell me out of all chocolate bars that you're willing to risk your life for, it had to be Hershey's. You couldn't even do it for like a Twix bar, maybe some Reese's. You gonna have to end someone's whole life because of a Hershey's chocolate bar? We gotta do better as a human society, bro. Hershey's, did it have almonds inside? Was it like the crunch version? That doesn't matter. Point is, you should not be ending lives over no chocolate.
Neighbors later recalled hearing chaos and screams echoing from inside the home. Unsure as to whether or not the noises were Halloween decorations, police were eventually dispatched to the area. When officers arrived, they found the woman gravely injured. She was rushed to Cook County Hospital, where she lingered in critical condition for nearly a week.
Imagine having to tell the parents or having to tell the court the reason why you stabbed a lady that much times is because of a Hershey's bar, bro. I don't know, he better not plead insanity. But if he did get that benefit of the doubt, then wow, I wouldn't be surprised.
Despite doctors' efforts, her injuries proved fatal and she later passed on November 5th.
R.I.P.
The man was arrested soon after and booked on felony charges. What had begun as a trivial Halloween quarrel between two adults ended in one of the most brutal of ways.
Wow.
Costume malfunction. On October 31st, at a thriving Halloween carnival, a 51-year-old man would step into the bustling streets dressed in a costume of burlap and straw.
Of everything you could rock for Halloween. Now, I'm not a costume connoisseur. I don't know what are the best Halloween outfits that can impress people, but that seems lame. That seems like something you would camp out on a Call of Duty game. What are you wearing? That gotta be itchy too.
To join the thousands celebrating beneath pulsing lights and music.
And you go do it? You go bring that to a dance? You wanna wear stealth gear to a dance?
But in a sudden, tragic turn, the man's night of festivity shifted into pure trauma. The man joined the crowd in an energetic dance, and in the midst of the excitement, he wanted to take a break and light a cigarette.
With all of that rough material you got going on, you want to light a cigarette? Bro, look at what you are wearing, bro. You're literally wearing a forest fire on you.
In his attempt, the flame from his lighter caught the edge of his costume's hood, and in an instant, his entire outfit ignited. Due to its material, the costume was extremely easy to burn, but difficult to put out and take off. The man would try ripping the costume off of his body, but its contents had already begun melting into his skin. As for the crowd around him, they at first thought it was a prank or some sort of fire stunt.
You see a man screaming to death. Yo, I feel like I can tell when something is an act and when it isn't. If you're seeing a man literally perish in fire, unless that fire is disappearing in like 1 second, then obviously it's real. I mean, who knows if they had a fire extinguisher near them, but wow, that gotta hurt.
Driven into the Halloween event. It should be noted that most of them were heavily intoxicated, so their rationality and judgment skills were extremely impaired at the time. As the blaze spread violently, it swallowed him whole like a torch. His figure staggered into the mass of dancers engulfed in fire with his arms flailing in a desperate panic. People continued cheering. Individuals were so impressed.
I'm sorry, imagine being in pain that much. You're scurrying around the whole room talking about help me. And then you see people are like, yeah, go on, dude. You got this. Keep going, man. I'm proud of you, man. Buddy, I said I'm burning to death and you're cheering me on. What is going on?
By the stunt that they had begun to record the screaming victim. Only when the man's screams got louder than the music at the carnival did a few sober witnesses realize what was going on. They rushed in to help and tried to rip off the burning pants and jacket that were now clinging to his skin. People took water bottles from their backpacks and emptied it onto the blaze, while others in the crowd continued chanting, snapping pictures, and dancing to what they perceived as a stunt.
And this is why I just would never drink. If you drink, that's on you. You're just probably used to it. You probably don't overdrink. But I'm sorry, I can't have my mind ever impaired to the point where I feel like I don't even know if someone is burning or not. How much drinks did you have for you to be cheering on something like that?
When the flames finally calmed, he was barely recognizable. Despite being rushed to the hospital, the man ultimately passed away from his wounds.
R.I.P. The Hello Kitty incident.
A 23-year-old mother in Hong Kong would continue navigating her life in an environment tainted by hardship. She was an orphan as a child, and as she grew up, she became addicted to abusing substances and other things.
I think I know about this story. If my memory serves me right, I think her head is gonna be in a Hello Kitty costume. And then some weird men did a lot of weird things to her, man. Trigger warning, this is definitely a viewer beware.
She worked at a nightclub in one of Hong Kong's red light districts, Tsim Sha Tsui, where a 34-year-old mob boss frequently visited her for services. The gangster was known to be extremely dangerous as he had a horrible temper and would often do cruel and unusual things to people who wronged him.
JJK spoiler. Wait, hold on. There's nothing wrong with pineapple on pizza though. And now ham on the pizza, I don't recommend that. But pineapple on the pizza, come on now, bro. We're grown. We can enjoy sweet and savory things. I don't know why people are acting like that's a foreign concept.
One day, after the two met with each other, the mobster would accidentally forget his wallet at the venue. Upon seeing that it contained 4,000 Hong Kong dollars, the woman would secretly steal it to help her own financial situation for herself and her son. The mob boss found out.
It's only 500, bro. Come on now. I know that's a good amount of money, but aren't you a mob boss? Shouldn't you be making that damn near every day? Like, you should be a millionaire by now. Let's be real.
Out of fear of what he'd do to her, she immediately returned the money back to him. However, he wasn't satisfied.
Oh yeah, because you basically just admitted to guilt. You basically just said, yeah, I did steal your money. Come on now. And I'm pretty sure these mob bosses don't view women equally.
He demanded that she pay an additional $10,000 back to him as an interest fee for her thievery. Obviously, she couldn't meet those requests. On a calm night, as the woman made her way into her apartment after her shift, she'd hear knocks at her door. It would be 3 members of the Triad gang and a young girl who claimed that they wanted to settle the dispute with a more reasonable fee. Also, side note, the young girl seen here is actually the mob boss's girlfriend. Remember how I said he's 34? Well, she's 20 years younger than that.
Look, I know that that's probably his girlfriend, but I feel like she had no choice, bro. Like, I feel like people could probably call her out and be like, oh, she's a sicko. How is she with anyone that sleeps with other men? Bro, that man is probably a maniac, bro. He probably put the ultimatum on her like, you're either my girlfriend or you're nothing. You're not gonna live.
Yeah. Anyways, as soon as the woman opened up the door, they ripped her out of her apartment and drove her to a rundown flat on Granville Road in Kowloon. It was there that her final horrific month of torture began. Her captors beat her with pipes, suspended her in the air with wires, burned her with wax and plastic, and rubbed peppery spices into her wounds.
Now, what is that gonna do for you? How is that gonna bring back your money in any way? And obviously, it's sad now. I'm pretty sure you guys are not gonna let her go because all you guys would be cooked by the police if the police even knew about y'all.
Each day blurred into the next. It was a cycle of torment designed not only to punish her, but to strip away at her humanity. Neighbors heard nothing beyond the walls, but within
reports say she was forced to smile and pretend that she enjoyed the violence. Wow. You see, this is why you should always be thankful for your living situation, regardless of how harsh it may seem or the sad things that may be going on in your life, because it could be way worse. And not even slightly, extremely worse.
Suffering was routine. After nearly a month of agony, her body could no longer endure the mistreatment, and she would pass away from the monstrous acts of the gang. Upon realization, the mob boss had his men disposing of her remains in bags and pieces to clear themselves of any evidence. However, in a grotesque and cruel twist, the boss would have her skull boiled clean, polished and preserved, and then stitched into his girlfriend's Hello Kitty plush.
You could tell his girlfriend was just terrified. Yo, this man is sick, man. I don't understand how people could actually endure these things, or what would push them in society for them to even commit these acts. How neglected did you have to be as a child for you to turn out like this?
Actually, I don't really feel comfortable considering her his girlfriend. I mean,
yeah,
the man's quite literally old enough to be her father. But nonetheless, night after night, the young girl would be faced with the doll as she lived with the mob boss, and he kept it in the flat they were living in. She wouldn't be able to escape the sight of the toy, and as time went on, it began haunting her. She'd start seeing hallucinations and apparitions of the woman's ghost. The spirit would follow her every day, weeping dreadfully. It'd stand by the corner of her bed, staring at her every night. And
yeah, that's just so creepy. And why would you want a person's skull to be just looking at you, knowing how ferocious her ending was and you being a part of it?
if the girl ever fell asleep, it'd show up in her dreams as well, and turn them into nightmares. In her words, she said that it
Wait, she was 14? Oh, that man was a predator? Oh my God, bro, I feel bad for her as well.
kept haunting her while demanding justice. It got so bad that the girl developed insomnia, and for weeks, she'd barely eat or sleep. Eventually, she broke. She ran to a nearby department, and reports from the Kowloon police station say that she turned up at the building shaking violently. As mentioned from witnesses, rather than her saying that she has a crime she needs to confess, the first words that left her mouth were something around the lines of, "I keep seeing her. I can't sleep."
Oh yeah, then she had to be extremely traumatized. If you can't get your words out properly and actually tell the police what's been happening and the first words are like, bro, she just keep looking at me. Either she was just like brainwashed to the point where she just was scared of her life to snitch. Yeah, the only thing that would make her cave is the fact that the lady just kept looking at her.
Please, she won't stop crying. She won't leave me alone. She was literally traumatized. The girl told police absolutely everything they needed to know.
I feel like any normal person would be traumatized, which is so crazy that the mob boss and the people that are working for him are not. Like, how are you guys normal after seeing something like that?
And officials set out to arrest everyone who was involved. The three men. Actually, they don't really deserve to be called that. The three criminals were all sentenced to life in prison with
Good.
a 20-year minimum before parole. The young girl was placed in protective custody, and after the trial, it was noted that she was seeing the ghost less. However, she'd still go on to experience nightmares and auditory hallucinations of the woman weeping. The last thing that was heard of her before she was relocated with an identity change was that she was being given psychological treatment and correctional therapy.
Good.
These aren't just horror stories, they're real events. And they're all so wrong, in so many ways. Halloween is meant to be scary in a fun manner, not in a cruel and dangerous one.
Facts.
To ensure that happens, make sure to group up, stay close to your friends, drink responsibly, and always check your candy twice. Take care of yourself
Literally.
and keep your loved ones safe.
W Talking Hat, like always, man, such a goat. Yes, YouTube, if you're watching this, make sure you guys are safe for Halloween. Let me know what you guys are going to be dressing as. Do not dress as a stealth object, and definitely do not light any fire near your costumes because they could be extremely flammable. Let me know which case you thought was the craziest. Make sure you guys subscribe. Road to 1 million subs. Join us on Discord. Join us on Twitch. All that good stuff. Subscribe to Talking Hat as well. Waxer for life. Love y'all.